Welcome everybody to the second speaker of the day for Main Character Energy at the Live Summit. I am absolutely buzzing to welcome Ashley Bennington.
Guys, I'm like I feel so honored I'm going after Rachel. She's like pink and bubbly and I'm like dark and black and we're like so opposite. So this will be a nice little
So
contrast of speakers for this morning.
yeah, and I love that. I love that. So I think a lot of you are here on Rachel's one. Yes, Rachel is very pink, very glittery, very like out there. We're gonna hear from Rachel now, and I'll put her Insta and TikToks in the chat so that you can go follow Ashley. But their styles are very, very different. As I said at the start of the first session, I picked people based on how they present themselves, and main character energy to me is it's a feeling and a presence, and sometimes that presence might be loud and pink and sparkly, whereas sometimes it might be like luxe and defined and have an energy that isn't as loud but is as powerful.
Yeah.
And so when I first came across Ashley, I think I found you on Insta first and then found you on TikTok, and you see quite different
So not
versions of
normal.
you.
Yeah,
Very
that's like not normal for
fun, but
me.
I love that. So for everybody that is new here or might be seeing Ashley for the first time, Ashley is the founder of By the Blazer. She has become a TikTok star, not necessarily for having the biggest audience, but for being able to build a very successful brand without needing a massive following. And then from her By the Blazer business brand, she now works as a consulting business, consulting high level, like high ticket sales and helping businesses to scale anywhere from up to 10K months through to into the millions. So
Yeah.
really, really excited for this session and talk with Ashley. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Like I had just said, yeah, Rachel, I actually got to meet Rachel this summer. She's fantastic. So go back and watch. Thank you, Kelly. Go back and watch her session. But it's so crazy because Rachel is like heavy Instagram, pink, glittery, very feminine. I'm like very masculine. I've never launched a offer in my life. I've never done a launch.
Oh
Never
my
had a
God.
never had a funnel. Like I was completely, we did absolute opposite in our businesses. So I'm so excited I got to watch her session. I was like, have never done that, have never done that, have never done that. But we both have seven-figure businesses. And it just goes to show how, leaning into your strengths as a business owner, you can build a 7, 8, whatever figure business if you lean into the things that really, make you stand out and are kind of your zone of genius. So I think it's cool that we were paired next to each other. I love her and adore her. And I'm just so excited that I'm here with you
So,
guys.
so different. I love that you're like, I haven't done any of those things, but you're still evident that you build a wildly successful business through doing your own way, your own strategy. So this is not a, one size fits all. This is a find your size fit.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible. So for the people here who, I know Kelly knows you, but for the people here who might be meeting you for the first time, can you give us a little bit of a background of your story from wherever you want to start, but how you started the business to what you have built now?
Yeah, so a lot's changed. So I've actually only been in business about 2 years. Most people come to my page and they're like, "Oh, she's been doing this for a while." Nope, I started at the end of 2022, right around the time that I was turning 29. I was having a midlife crisis. I came from corporate. I was in sales. Unlike a lot of entrepreneurs where they're like, "I made 20K in a month. This is the most money I've ever made." I was on track to make a $500,000 at 27 years old in corporate sales. Like I was already making a lot of money, had a lot of the success that people chase. And I was super, super burnt out. I was working 90, 100-hour work weeks. I was sleeping at my office. My hair was falling out. Like I was unwell. Let's just like, I'll be honest, I was unwell. So I was unwell. And then this little thing called COVID happened. Don't know if you guys are familiar, but COVID happened and it required me to like shut down a little bit because I wasn't going in the office. My boss wasn't seeing me come in at 5 a.m. and all the things that I was used to. And so when COVID happened, I kind of got this like inkling inside of me of like, if COVID, wiped everything away and all this hard work I put in, like, and if this was the end, because I didn't know anything about COVID, obviously, and none of us did at the time. I was like, what can I say about my life besides I'm a really good worker? And that really did not sit well with me. And so I always wanted to become an entrepreneur, but when you're working 100 hours a week and sleeping on the floor of your office, it's very difficult to contemplate what it would look like to start a business. So I decided that I was going to leave that job. I was going to leave all the, the wealth that came with it, all the, success, all the things I worked for. And I was like, I'm going to find another job that will allow me to pay my bills. And I'm going to figure out, like, I'm going to go after my dreams. Like, I am better than this. I want more than this. And so for about a year, I worked at a very, very large company that just paid me at least enough to pay for my new house and all the other things that came with my life. And I kind of had this moment where I was like, I need to figure out how to monetize something because I need to start a business. And I started following a lot of different people on TikTok. And I was like, you know what? I think I should just start like a story of my like journey on TikTok. I'll just kind of share my story and like something maybe will pop up. So I started talking a lot about money because I was always the girl who invested, went after careers, negotiated every salary. And I started talking over and over on TikTok about like how I wanted to become a millionaire by 30. At this time, I was 29. And all of a sudden people are like, can you coach me? I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I put a link on my web or on my bio on TikTok. And I posted a video about like, yeah, I'm a career coach and a finance coach. Didn't know what that meant. And 2 weeks later, we had done $18,000 in sales and it came out of nowhere. And basically I was like, oh wait, I have a business now. So I started with financial coaching. It just kind of came, naturally to me. I grew that business to about 250K in 8 months, quit my job that summer. So that was just last year summer. And then after kind of taking that business and going with that, I was like, I really want to go back to my passions, which are marketing and sales. And that's where the idea for Buy the Blazer came up. So we launched our first offer with Buy the Blazer last year, November. So about 15 months ago. And we are about to cross over 7 figures with that business. We're already 7 figures between the other business. So it's really cool to be able to say that I'm going to be a multi 7 figure business owner in 2 years. And the thing that I really focused on with Buy the Blazer, because I loved the beginning stages of business, but I obviously have worked with really big corporations when I was in sales and consulting, is we really wanted to pitch ourselves as the only business consulting company that could really take you from 0 to 7 figures and has like a customized strategy for every stage of your business and tailored support at every stage of your business. And so that's kind of been our really big win. We have a signature offer called the Disruptive Brand Method. It divides into kind of a launching phase, a building phase, and then a scaling phase. Then we have clients that move into private, and we're just growing like crazy. I just retired 2 of my best friends to come work with me. So, it's just a wild journey. But I think the biggest thing that I always look back on whenever like times get tough in my business or I second guess myself, like last night I was crying to my coach and I'm like, am I going to hit my goals this year? And she's like, shut up, Ashley, just keep going. Like, it's going to be fine. But whenever I have that, I'm like, you know what? It took a lot of balls to walk away from the stability I had, and I would not look back. And even on my hardest days as an entrepreneur, it is the greatest days in comparison to where I was 3 years ago. So, yeah, it's been quite a journey over the last couple of years, and I'm really solely focusing on Buy the Blazer now. I've kind of wrapped up a lot of the financial coaching. We ran our last program in January, and I'm excited to take this baby to 8 figures in the next couple of years. So that's kind of where we're at.
So incredible. Actually, I have to ask you,
Yeah.
surely we'll put in this information in a book, right? We're going to be able to buy a book of yours
You
soon.
know, so I don't know if this is like interesting. I always like love when people share like a really weird fact about themselves in like situations like this. I was talking to one of my good friends, Deb, who's speaking, I believe, on Thursday. And I was like, what do you think people would want to know? And she's like, you have to tell your parents that or you have to tell the audience that your parents still don't know that you run a business. And I was like, oh yeah, I should probably mention that. So I should write a book. However, by the time I write the book, I should probably also let my parents know that I'm a $1 million business owner because they still think I'm at corporate. And I basically have been telling them, yeah, last like year and a half, they're like, I was working at Amazon and they're like, how's Amazon? I'm like, they're great. Their stock is up, blah, blah. None of that's a lie. But I don't know that information because I work there. I just am sharing public information. So my parents are just kind of at that stage where they're focusing more on like my brother and just their own stuff and they're retiring and whatever. So yeah, my parents have no idea that I run a business. And yeah, that's kind of my like fun fact. So I maybe will write a book, but I should probably let my parents know what I'm up to first.
I mean, that speaks to how fast you've grown the business in that
Yeah.
you could have just been busy for a little period of your life. You've grown to multi 7 figures and mom and dad don't even know yet.
No idea. They literally have no idea. So yeah, I just my grandmother unfortunately passed away last month and I was with all my family and they're like, how's work? I'm like, work is really busy. Not a lie, but honestly, kind of a weird situation. So if anyone ever wants to talk offline, or if anyone has any questions about what it looks like to kind of just keep the blinders on and maybe only share your business wins or life with the people that you feel like are ready to accept that, I'm always open to that. But that's kind of a fun little fact that people find really kind of
Wow.
weird. Yeah.
Something actually that you shared, and we'll get on to more of the like juicy and sexy and brand stuff, but you shared something on your stories the other day that I thought will resonate with a lot of people, because you were talking about when earlier in your journey you'd made the effort to ring friends every month and to
Yeah.
stay in touch with people and put this effort in. You were like, I'm just gonna not do this for a second and wait to see how many people put this energy back in with me. You want to tell
Yeah.
the story?
Oh, on my personal story. So I was like, did I post that? Yeah. I think, life, so I have a really good friend who's like always positive, and anytime I'm really like, I'm stressed or whatever, she's like, well, isn't it a blessing that like today was a hard day because then tomorrow's gonna be better? Like she's just, everything is glass half full. And I remember one time I was like really stressed out, and I was, at a point I was working 2 months before I quit my job. I had 150 sales calls in a month, was working 60 hours a week, and also like was running 5 programs. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is heavy. And I was like, I haven't called my friends and I haven't done this. And she's like, actually, life is about seasons. And everyone always looks at like, well, I'm not, where I was 6 months ago, or this was different than a couple months ago. And she's like, sometimes different things serve you in different seasons. And I think one of the things that I really struggled with in my 20s, and I think a lot of people relate to this, is like being a people pleaser. I wanted to, always be there for everyone. I wanted to over deliver on everything. I wanted to like surprise everyone. And, just I was so obsessed with like, I think earning people's affection, because I was so obsessed with work for so long that I was like, if I could just be the over the top friend, it kind of like compensates for being distant. Or at brunch with my friends, I would be like texting to try to get a deal in. Like when I was at corporate, I was so obsessed with earning money, whereas now as a business owner, I'm so obsessed with like creating impact. It's been a really healthy transition for me. And I think over the last year, I realized that I was pouring so much energy into people's approval. So I kind of have gotten back to this place of like, at the end of the day, I want to attract people into my life that, love me and support me. And I'd rather have a small, solid circle that I just like adore, versus, being everywhere and being everything for everyone. And so I've been a lot more selective on how I spend my time, how I spend my energy. And not that I'm in a selfish era, but I'm very much in a like, this is my life. This is my opportunity to build something that I'm obsessed with. And it doesn't take, a huge army to do that. I have my core group of people. I have the clients I'm obsessed with. I have the business structure that I love. And I'm just going to like really go deep in that versus going wide. It's been a theme of like 2024. And that's just like starting to really pay off, because I'm like, I have blinders on. I'm focused on the things that serve me, and everything else just doesn't need to be a priority.
I really, really love that. That's so
Mhm.
important for your, sorry, I'm looking at something that just decided to start crawling down the wall, and I'm just like, can you?
I hate when that happens. I had like a board fall the other day, like right in the middle of the meeting. I was like, oh my gosh, crazy.
Sometimes I'll be on Zoom and I can see myself and see something running across the wall in the background. I'm like, no, stop.
Yeah.
So if you see the camera jerk, people, it's because we have something on the wall. But anyway, I really, really appreciate that, because I think especially as you're growing and scaling, and especially at the speed that you have scaled,
Yeah.
your energy is your most, expensive prized possession. And so being like really focused on the people who are coming with you on that journey, and being
Yeah.
prepared to let go of some of the people who can't come with you on that journey. I'd love
Hmm.
to know, people here, have you either felt friction with relationships, or had to let go of some people that you thought would come along with you, or had any tension from past people? I'd love to know. Pop it in the chat.
Yeah, I would love to know as well, because yeah, my parents obviously not on the journey, not on the journey. My brother has no idea. Like it's just super weird at holidays when people are like, "How's the job?" And I was like, "The job is good," because again, it is. But they're thinking one thing, I'm thinking another. But I do think it's really important as an entrepreneur to not feel like everyone has to support you. And sometimes when you level up as an entrepreneur, you have to get more selective about the people that are, you know, following you or being there, because your influence and your circle is, I think, sometimes more important than your skill set and your knowledge. So
Mm, yeah. For protecting your peace going forwards.
yes, absolutely.
Sure. Love that little note. Everybody taking this down. So Ashley, what's some of the things that you started? You said you started out with your like money content first on
Yeah.
TikTok. What were
Yeah.
some of the things that you like, because you were just sharing what interested you? What were some
Mhm.
of the things that people were just like, teach me? And you're like, what? This is just something I'm interested in.
Yeah, I honestly, so I am really big on TikTok marketing. That is like probably one of the number one reasons people hire me is marketing and sales, but specifically TikTok. And I'll give you guys a little, in case you are trying to get started on TikTok and you're just not feeling the vibe. Can anyone just let me know in the comments? You don't have to comment if you don't want, but like, I'm on TikTok. I love it. I make sales every day. Or like, TikTok gives me anxiety and I can't do that to myself anymore. I just stick to Instagram. Like, where you guys are at in your journey. But the reason that I think I thrive on TikTok is I started on TikTok. So a
Mm,
lot of people start on Instagram, which is a nurturing platform, and then to go to TikTok, they try to copy the same strategy that they did on Instagram. TikTok is an outreach platform, right? Like TikTok is designed to get you visibility. You have to pretend every post that no one knows anything about you. And so for me, who came from a very like outreach sales place, I kind of naturally would include little bits of pieces of information that would get people to be like, oh, she can coach me. Like I need to go seek more. Or this is kind of her intro without being like, hi, my name is Ashley Bennington. I'm a finance coach. Like I really learned how to do that well, because I kind of felt like every single TikTok was an elevator pitch. And so I think the big thing when I started, because TikTok has changed a lot in the last couple of years, was I just wanted people to feel like I had knowledge to give them that they couldn't go figure out on their own, or major anxiety, or that you know, people that they would have value in collaboration and learning. Because a lot of times people don't just hire you for information, they hire you for implementation. And so for me, I really honestly, my entire strategy for like a year and a half was just responding to comments. So people would comment and say something like, what is short-term investing? Because it was a phrase I used a lot. And I would just be like, hey, so when you are approaching your finances, you need a 4 bucket of wealth strategy. This is this, and this. And I would kind of talk about my framework and my process. And yeah, that was honestly most, I didn't have a, you know, this is my, you know, my content plan. This was anything. I was just, I want people to constantly be like, this girl is everywhere. And I feel so connected to her and I'm getting pushed her content and this is relevant to me and she's speaking to my symptoms. And I kept it so simple that I really didn't honestly post on Instagram for my other business for like a year and a half. Like we had already done almost, you know, $500,000 at that point. So I just kept everything super clean. They found me, they applied, I funneled them into a call, I sold them into my offer. Like everything was super simple in my business because it had to be. As I got a little bit more strategic, it's a little bit more production focused. So, you know, longer form content, we break up into shorter form. But I definitely think that people approach TikTok the same way they approach Instagram. And that's typically why people struggle. So if you're coming from Instagram and you're doing well on Instagram, then you go to TikTok and you're like, I feel like a failure and I want to cry and I want to gauge my eyes out and overdose on some solid Starbucks today, like I am doing. If you feel that, it's usually just because you're looking at the platform the same way as Instagram and they are not the same. So yeah.
yeah. I wanted
Mhm.
to mention that for everybody, like go follow Ashley on TikTok and on Insta. Very
Mhm.
different, very different. Because on
Yeah.
TikTok, we're gonna see you like in a hoodie, just teaching stuff, giving value, you like comfortable at home. It feels like a chat with a friend on a sofa.
Yeah.
Whereas on Insta, it's the high level brand. It's the looks feel, the more consultative, like firm based, like
Yeah.
business.
A lot more structured. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any
Two
questions on
sides.
TikTok today? Yeah. Yeah. If anyone has any questions on TikTok or anything, I'm more than happy to like answer that. I don't know if you want to leave questions to the end or during, but TikTok is, I mean, literally the reason that I have the business I have today. So I am a gung ho TikTok girl. And I do believe that TikTok is changing the way that we consume content in general. So even if you are not thriving on TikTok, understanding how people consume content and what they want on TikTok is going to make you better at Instagram. It's going to make you better at Pinterest. It's going to make you better at YouTube Shorts. So it's really critically important that you understand how people engage with that type of content to be better at marketing and to understand the direction that marketing is going in the future.
Love this.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially because so many trends and things start on TikTok and then come. So if you can get good at TikTok, you're gonna be good at everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of your, because you mentioned you've got like your corporate background and a lot, it sounds like a lot of relationships with either existing companies or like your old network. Do you still, did you use any of those network for like in the brand that you've built now? Do they come to you as all of your, this business growth, has that all been organic and newness?
Yeah, it's 100% been organic. So I've had a couple people who, were just part of like my personal circle who said like, "Hey, I've always wanted to start a business." Again, we do help women launch their businesses, which is kind of unique. I think there's a really big gap in the market there. There's either like super coursey, like, people are following a super structure with no implementation or no guidance there, and then they have to go into like a high level mastermind. I personally found like a gap in the market as far as like the transition from each stage of business. And so I have a lot of women who are like, I want to start a business. I've been inspired to start a business based on my passions. So some of those people maybe from my personal circle, but I really felt like when I left my sales job in 2020, my boss's boss sat me down and he's like, not everyone can handle this job. Not everyone's good enough to be at this job. I kind of got the like, F you for leaving, because I had just come off of being in our top 10 sales reps out of like 400. So I made President's Club, like I won a trip, like a all expense paid vacation for sales. Like I had come off of this amazing year and they were talking about promoting me that year. So I think it really threw everyone for a shock that I was like, I literally feel zero value in my life. Like I have to get out of here. So I kind of really parted ways with that company being like, you know what, like this was a really toxic environment. It kind of felt like a cult and I wanted to be away from that. Then moved into, working at Amazon, which was, that's a whole other story for another day. But I just kind of always kept that super separate. Like no one knew what I was up to. I wasn't really sharing a lot of my posts to my personal page at first. I really just kept my business like, this is what I'm doing. I'm laser focused. And instead of trying to nurture people that, are just messy right now, I'm going to focus on brand new people that I can create an incredible relationship with. And that was something that was really important to me. So I probably lost an opportunity for not engaging with my existing network. But honestly, I felt like this was my opportunity to like start fresh and build something that felt like mine, and bringing the existing corporate and relationships that I had, even though a lot of them were still amazing, I just kind of felt like I needed that like fresh start. Like this was like my time. This was my time to build it the way I wanted to do it without judgment. And I just didn't give a shit what anyone thought of me, because I was like, these are complete strangers. They're either going to gravitate towards me or they're going to think that I'm a piece of shit. And I don't honestly care which one it is. And that was like really freeing for me. And now I post stuff on my socials and I get amazing engagement. And once I started doing this, people are like, I wish you were telling me more about this. It's really inspirational and I love this. But, for a while, I just did not feel like I needed to connect my two worlds. I stayed laser focused and built 100% organic. We've never run ads. We've built, like I said, most of our revenue comes from TikTok. We do about 6 figures a month from TikTok, which is insane. And I do all my own marketing. So that's just kind of the energy that I've put out, and it's just really worked for us.
Incredible. 6 figures a month and you do it all yourself.
I do it
Amazing.
all myself. Every one of our Instagram posts, if you ever see it and you like it, just send me a DM. I also do respond to all my own DMs and let me know that you like it, because it makes me feel good about myself. We'll probably outsource that at some point, but I really love driving the content of my business. Some people outsource it, some people do not, but that's something, I think when Rachel was talking about what type of architect type you are with launching, I'm very much like a content creator. I like creating the content. I like being the force behind the inspiration. Like that's just where I'm at in business, and I enjoy that process. Can I answer this question,
Yeah,
if it's okay,
why
about
not?
how do I start showing up as a confidence coach for introverted women? What an angle will say I should go as I'm currently purposing. Yeah, so your Instagram content is meant to be for people who already know everything about you. So typically, if you're posting on TikTok, your Instagram content, and it's not like really designed to be like the first time someone sees you, it's just probably not going to land, because people are like, I don't really know where this is going. So every single time that you post a piece of content on TikTok, I would try to start off, obviously the hook is very important, kind of how you're hooking someone, with some type of statement that allows people to understand what you're about to talk about. Where again, on Instagram, it can just be inspirational, it can be bits of your story. I really want you to start off by introducing some type of content. So, like, this is exactly how I took my client from here to here, or these are the things that are keeping you from this. And you want to go at it from a lens of like, how are you going to help someone see kind of a beginning, middle, and end? And then you go into kind of sharing that piece. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, but you really want to introduce a concept, because then people can gravitate towards like, oh, this is what I'm going to learn in this video. And they know where you're going, because again, they've never met you. So think about if you were on a first date, and at the end of the date, they were like trying to get you to like get married and do all these things, right? You'd be like, this is really aggressive. You kind of have to like lead into like the simple stuff, right? You kind of have to introduce like, hey, like, it's nice to meet you. What do you do for work? You keep things very simple. Instagram, you can go a little bit more deep dive. TikTok, you want to stay a little bit more high level and grab people with the symptoms and the desires and things that they want. So I don't know if that fully gave you everything that you were looking for. Let me know if that helps a little bit, but I think that that's super, super important. And I found answering questions by literally just responding with a video was really helpful. But instead of just responding, be like, thanks so much for the question, you have to start off with some type of like hook. So this is one of the reasons that my clients are struggling to hit 10K months. These are what we do there. So just kind of that kind of stuff is really helpful. Yeah. Good.
How do
You're
you
so
get
welcome.
so many people asking you questions in the first place? Is that like either
Yeah.
provocative or like super informative, or you encourage them to ask you and then obviously you can reply to all the comments?
Honestly, I do find that asking questions in your TikTok, or like, is this you? That kind of stuff is really helpful. But I think also like when you make it feel like you're FaceTiming someone. So honestly, it's funny. I was talking to my own business mentor who's very structured and she's very like always poised. And she hasn't really like TikTok is not necessarily her thing, which is totally fine. And she's like, Ashley, you literally will film a video like this on your couch. Like you look ridiculous. And I was like, I know, but then people feel like I'm like their friend, like FaceTiming them. So feeling casual, not like you're like about to teach someone something and you're so, those types of things just don't land as well when you're like being silly or casual, or people feel very connected. It makes them feel like they're already having a conversation with you, and it naturally allows them to have that. But also, if you want someone to ask you a question, what do? You ask them a question, you like engage. So even saying like, if this is something you're struggling with, like, we need to have a conversation around this, or let me know if you already have this in place, like asking those questions throughout your videos can be helpful, because usually people will respond that way. Also, don't be afraid to respond to something that's like not necessarily really valuable. I had someone who responded to a TikTok the other day that said interesting. Not a very exciting response. And I responded to it. I was like, the reason that so many people are struggling with X, Y, and Z, and I talked about something that she responded to as interesting. And then other people started commenting because they saw that I respond to comments. So don't feel like you have to wait for someone to be like, tell me exactly your process for how you do X, Y, and Z in the comment in order to respond. Show people that you are someone that collaborates, and it will drive more collaboration. That's kind of my thought there.
Good advice. You can make good marketing from a very average content comment.
Yes, you can. Like it's about the perception that people have, because when people buy from you, it's because they know, like, and trust you, right? So TikTok is a great way for people to know you because it gives you visibility. If you are casual, it makes people feel like you're more likable because it like breaks down that barrier. And then the trust comes from when you're showing collaboration and showing that you want to help people without necessarily always being like, DM me this word or send me this link or whatever at the end of each post. It's about getting people to say, there's so much value here. I'm ready to seek out information. That's what TikTok is for. Instagram is for, I know you've been watching me. If this lands with you, let's have a conversation. TikTok is more the, I'm getting you to the point of realizing that maybe I'm someone that you want to pursue and reach out to further.
Loving this, because it seems like we've got a good few that are either on TikTok, dabbling with TikTok, trying things out, some success, some less so.
Yeah.
Ask your questions in the comments, guys, but loving seeing these come through. Okay, Ashley, just what is when I reached out to you saying I'm doing this thing called main character energy, like what does main character energy mean to you?
Yeah, I actually loved that. Was one of the reasons I was like really excited when you messaged me. I'm like, oh, I freaking love that topic. I think for me, so when I came up with the concept of Buy the Blazer, I was like, I really want to help businesses that are disruptive and valuable and one of a kind. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? And I don't know, I've just kind of like stuck to that. So that's
Yeah.
kind of our tagline as a business: disruptive and valuable and one of a kind. And I actually feel like that very much is in alignment with main character energy. At the end of the day, the biggest gap that I typically see, and I know we had a confidence coach on here who maybe can talk through this, but the biggest gap that I see people see is they don't know how to put those blinders on and stay true to like their own unique value proposition. Because as a human being, one of the things that I think people struggle with when they start their business is, well, is anyone going to pay for this? Because like, everyone's good at this, or like, is it good enough? Or we always have that like, am I good enough
Mhm.
on my own? And at the end of the day, like I believe everyone is sitting on $1 million business, like at any time. Like your existing skills, your knowledge, the way you process things, that is always going to be so different than what your peers are going to do, or your community is going to do. Even in business coaching, right? God, how many business coaches are there, right? I am one of 10,000 bajillion business coaches you could Google and search right now. However, the way that I talk about a solution, or the way that I teach sales, or the way that I do marketing, that might really land with you, or you might be like, this girl's whack, and you might connect with someone else, right? So at the end of the day, like when you get so clear on what is your value proposition, how you do things differently, and you lean into that versus try to just be, another option out there, that's what main character energy is to me. And that's what a disruptive and valuable and one of a kind business owner is to me. Someone who knows what they're great at, they know how to monetize the fuck out of it, and they like don't hold back on it. They like lean into it. They do it as much as possible. They share it. They're obsessed with it, and they like keep blinders on, and they just go really deep in that. So that's what I would say from main character energy. Every single person has it, just most people don't lean into it. And that's the difference.
Love that tagline, disruptive, valuable, one of a
One
kind.
of a kind. Yeah.
Yes. 'Cause it's so true. I was thinking earlier on this week that, if I owned the dictionary, I would ban imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
because you're not an imposter. You just haven't done it enough times to be really
Yeah.
confident at it yet.
1000%. Most of the time when, I'm talking to a business owner that's feeling stress, 90% of the time, instead of saying like, I'm really unaligned with this and I just decided I don't like running this program, whatever, it's always, well, I see that everyone else is doing it this way. It's always, always, always that someone else is doing it this way. I have felt that in my own business. If anyone has imposter syndrome, I feel you all the freaking time. But most of the time it's because we're saying, well, everyone else tends to do it this way, or everyone feels like this is the right offer suite to have, or everyone's going low ticket, or everyone's mastermind is 15K. I literally had someone who was like, everyone's mastermind is 15K. Why isn't yours 15K? And I was like, I don't give a shit what anyone's mastermind costs. Like this, we get in this bubble of rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. And when I started By the Blazer, I was like, I want to work with the women who want to be the next Sarah Blakely. I want to be with the women who want to be, like or hate her, the next Kylie Jenner, or the next Taylor Swift, or the woman who's like, just leans in their own path. And if you look at all those women, they kind of went against the grain. And I think that that's what makes a really powerful entrepreneur, is someone who's like, I believe in this and I'm going to lean into this. And if it fails, then maybe everyone else is right. But if it succeeds, I have something that no one else can even fucking touch. And if you look at the Apples and the Amazons, that's what they did. And I'm not saying everyone here is going to have a, $100 billion business maybe in the next couple of years. But maybe you could. Like, have you ever thought about it as a possibility for you? Have you ever thought about having a, $20 million business? Some of us are all striving for the 10K, the 20K month, because that's what the online space tells us. And I have been trying to push women to be like, what if you want the $20 million business? What does that look like? You can't be just another business coach or finance coach or website designer or whatever. You have to do things differently. So you have to lean into that with everything that you got.
I love that.
Mhm.
Love that, because breaking away some of those norms and some of the things that are pushed as like the next level goals to achieve to, when
Yeah.
you shoot your shot so much further, you
Mhm.
have to think a lot differently. If you were to 10x your goal, those same steps that you're doing aren't going to be the things that we to get you to there. And it's that thinking very, very differently that you might
Yeah.
even have to slow down before you speed up, but you're thinking bigger picture. You're not thinking, how can I sign 10 clients in this month, or how can I
Right.
make the next 10K? You're like,
Mhm.
right, if next year is going to be my $1 million year, what do I do now?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. You have to like reverse it. Yeah, you have to reverse it. And that's typically what I see as a shift when someone's going from a beginning stage of their business is it's how do I trade time for money? And I say that a lot, and a lot of people find that a really weird way to talk about launching a business. But I'm like, usually in the beginning, you're trading a lot of time for money. You're giving your knowledge and your implementation, your strategy for in exchange for someone paying you. Then as you scale, it's creating a more scalable version of that. And then as you really like take your business and expand into a 7-figure or multiple 7-figure company, it's not a 1 month or 2 month decision. It's year-long decisions. It's how do I set up a team to manage all this? It's how do I create systems in place to take me out of the sales process? Like it's a completely different ball game. And that's why I've always said approaching a business from like a 0 to 7-figure strategy standpoint is all about approaching it in layers. You have to look at your business in layers. So the moment that a layer that you add doesn't feel good, take it off and just add a new one. You don't have to start over from zero. You just have to continue to build those blocks until you get to a really sustainable and solid 7-figure business. And some people want that. Some people want bigger. Some people want smaller. It doesn't matter. But the more you really like lean into the way that you want to do it, the more you're going to be happier in your business and also probably a lot more of the money you're going to make, which is, I think, a lot of the reasons that we're here. We like the impact, but I do think most of us also like getting paid for the impact that we create.
yeah. You're allowed to say, I want to make a fuck ton of load of money.
Yes, exactly.
Can you explain a little bit more what you meant about the layers? Do you mean in terms of like business functions, like getting your sales down or your offers or your
Mhm.
then your team and things on top of that?
Yeah. So the framework that we use for our clients is identity, authority, conversion, delivery. And then that's really our focus is through like 6 intro to multiple 6 figures. Then we add in optimization and innovation. So those are really the 6 key pillars I believe builds a multi 7-figure brand. And that comes from my own business knowledge of starting my own companies, but also from I've worked for Amazon, Disney, Target, like really big companies. And those pillars I felt like were consistent across all of them. And so for me, when I'm helping a company, helping a business owner start, we focus on the most basic aspect of those first 4 pieces. So who the hell are you? Who do you serve? And how do you do it differently? How do we get that to the masses through building authority? How do we create streamlined conversion? And then after that, what's your delivery method? How are we getting our services, getting our knowledge to our customer base? Is that a packaged course? Is that a one-on-one offer? Is that consulting? Is that done for you? What is that? So we focus on really introduction to that to kind of like create that base. Then when a client is moving into scaling to 6 figures, it's mastering that base so that we can build the foundation on top of that, right? Like that's kind of the beginning part, we build over that. Once a client's at like 6 or even like into the 200K mark, that's when the systems and we start putting like processes in place. We kind of create those streamlining attributes to a company. That's kind of that next phase. And then innovation. And I've always believed that there's multiple types of innovation, but one of the most important types is just disruptive innovation. When you say like, hey, we're going to completely do things differently, where we're going to have a different type of program, or we're going to create different ways that we do one-on-one calls or provide customized support. Like when you look at what the industry is doing and you say we're going to approach it from a different lens, and you really like lean into that, and that typically comes as your business looks to scale. So when we looked at that for this year, it was introducing a firm component to our business, not like firm, like a strong component, but like actually like a consulting firm where clients technically can hire us for project based. So that was like a whole new thing. No one was doing that. I was like, I really want to lean into that. So that's really how I look at business. And that was the exact process I followed to grow my business to 7 figures. That's how we help our clients scale. And it's a rinse and repeat process that also allows you to be customized based on the vision that you have for your business, the structure of your business, and how fast or how big you want to grow. So that's kind of how I look at it from like a layered approach.
I love this. It's so juicy.
I guess,
Incredible.
I guess so.
Like it's all my brain is like ting 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 ting. I'm loving this. It sounds like, because I know you've grown very quickly, so you might not have had any harder seasons, but are there things that you've come up against that have been like real either stumbling blocks or challenges or just things that came out of left field that have been like have really rocked you, or have you because
Mhm.
of partly your corporate experience, but also you've got a like strong head on your shoulders. Has it just been like, go, go, go?
Yeah, it's so crazy because I get a lot of people are like, "You're so confident, you're so intense." And I was like, "I guess so." I've always kind of been like a very like, this is what it is, masculine energy type of gal. But like all of us, one of the things I actually was talking to someone, so I'll share this and then I'll get into that. But I was talking to someone who I like admire very much, and we're both very like masculine business owners. And she's like, "Ashley, did you know that I have a male coach?" And I said, "No, like, do you just like him, or like what's like why do you hire him?" She goes, "I hired a male coach because men don't overthink anything. Like they just jump and they're like, I'll figure it out." Women, for some reason, I think it's because men really in life, and if there's any men on the call, sorry, but this is what I typically see. But men were so much raised to be risk takers. They were meant to be brave. They were trained to be someone who really like stands on their own and trusts their gut. Women were really raised to be perfect. We were, we overanalyzed. We wanted to do things well. We just are raised very differently traditionally. And even for having a lot of masculine energy, like I'm still a gal. I still, every 4 weeks get, that little gift from below that reminds me that all my emotions don't work, perfectly for like 6 days. Like, we all go through those things. And so my friend calls it the gift from below. I don't know what she calls that. And I don't know why I said that, but that's what she calls it. But, every month I go through that, like, oh my gosh, my emotions are out of whack. And then I go through imposter syndrome. And I think as I've scaled quickly, I've also had that doubt of like, do I actually know as much as I really do know? Because I've scaled quickly. Maybe things were easy for me. But I look back at my journey and every stage of it had moments where I was like, I don't think I'm good enough. And maybe this is the end. So even though I think our marketing obviously shows everything's put together and everything's amazing lens, like I think the best thing I've done over the last couple months is just share a little bit more of the behind the scenes, because no one wants to work with someone where everything was perfect. And I've had a lot of self-doubt. I have launched programs and then halfway through them been like, you know what, I actually fucking hate this. And I pivoted those clients into other programs. Like I've been through probably all the same things that every single person's been on this call. And I think the difference of someone who has a lot of success and someone who doesn't is just the ability to say, all right, I'm not where I want to be. I'm just going to keep taking steps forward, versus like I have to like always start over and like figure stuff out. Because usually you're not necessarily on the wrong track. You might have just taken like one wrong turn. So if you just take one step back the other direction, you're probably going to be back on track. But so many people always want to burn their business to the ground. And I think the thing that I've done well is just try to pivot versus like always start over. And usually that's kind of allowed me to refine and get myself like keep the momentum that I had without feeling like I'm constantly starting over from zero. So, but yeah, no, business has not always been easy. I've had a lot of moments of self-doubt. I have questioned a lot of things. I've fired a client before. We've been through all those things. I just think any business owner that leans in fully is always going to have those obstacles, because that just comes with business, and that shows us what we're made of. And it allows us to push forward and be like, all right, if I can handle that, I can handle whatever is coming my way after that. So yeah, I've been through all probably the same things that you guys have. And I've just always tried to stay strong and take it a step forward, and also learn from that, and you know, keep pushing
Mhm.
along.
It sounds like I'm similar to you in that some of my, I guess, mental toughness things came
Yeah,
in the workplace before the business even started, in
yeah,
that work environment, either with bosses or with clients, or just environments or conversations you find yourself in that you're like, wow, okay. So a lot of those more challenging things, because I feel like if people haven't come from a corporate background or from sales specifically,
yeah,
there's a level of resilience that
yeah.
comes through having your confidence knocked multiple times that the sales gives you.
Yeah, I mean, my corporate background, I mean, sales is different kind of depending on the company you work for. I cold called. So every Tuesday and Friday, we for 4 hours had to cold call. And if we didn't set a certain amount of appointments, we had our ass handed to us. And it was like, how are you gonna make sales? And every Monday we had to stand in front of my entire team and be like, this is what revenue I'm gonna bring in. And if you did it on Friday, you wanted to cry and put yourself in a corner. And it was a very intense environment. In fact, we were so particular about like, I don't care what the quota is. Like if you're at a certain point, you haven't sold for so long, like you're in trouble. So we had a guy who in my business, or in the company I worked for, hit quota for the year in January. A lot of sales companies are like, you can rest the rest of the year and play golf. You're good. And they tried to fire him 3 months later for lack of production when he was like literally like that kind of stuff doesn't exist in my business because I would not put that in my business. So I went from that environment of cold calling and when it was snowy out of like walking around in high heels and a skirt and just all this stuff to now I get to sit in my own home that I designed in sweatpants. I literally have a sweatpant under the shirt, like casual, and I can work with clients I choose to. I don't do pretty much any cold outreach. People come to me and say, I want to work with you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so honored. Like that's my life. And that's the thing that I have to remember anytime things get hard is like, I would choose this every fucking day over where I was, not just because it's better, but because I designed it this way. Like when you're at a corporate job, no shame to anyone at that, but you are at the mercy of the structure and the expectations that someone else put in place, sometimes without any actual concern about how you feel about it. It's just best for them. And in my company, I have decided that the way I set up my programs are going to be best for me and the client. The way I choose clients is going to be best for me and the client. And I'm going to create a business that I love and that I would want to be a part of if I hadn't created it myself. And I think that that's what I'm really excited about is I get to really switch the narrative and I get to call the shots. I can start any program I want. I can charge what I want or don't want. I don't have to do it any way that anyone else has before me. It's my business. And like that's a powerful thing to me. So whenever things get hard, I just want you guys to remember that like you put the hard in place, you can get rid of it too. Like you put that challenge in front of you because you built the business the way you wanted. So if you don't fucking like it, get rid of it. Like if you don't like your offer, get rid of it. If you don't like the client, you don't have to work with them. Like every piece of it you made for yourself, which also means that the things that light you up and make you feel like your life is like everyone's aspiration, you can also make because you made the hard, you can make the easy. So I always try to remember that when things get tough because sometimes we lose that perspective because we're so like dialed in. Gotta take a step back and really like change your narrative around it.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds you like what a privilege struggling in, if you're in a struggle season or even just whether it's a day, a week, a month, or a season, whatever it is,
Yeah.
at least that is your own struggle to have. Like you're problem
Yeah.
solving and you're the one that gets to benefit from problem solving. You're
Yeah.
not helping somebody else's business grow by solving their problems. Like this is such a
Absolutely.
privilege.
Absolutely. Like I had a client a couple of days ago and she's like, Ashley, I'm really struggling to sell my signature program. I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing it. I said, all right, if you're a corporate, you'd be forced to sell whatever they have, whatever offers they have. You're a business owner. What if you created something literally in the next hour with me? And let's put it together that's super easy that your audience has been asking for. It might not be part of your offer suite. And we created a masterclass based on like a topic that was like really important in her business. And she's like, I'm just going to make it like $50. I'm going to send it out to my email list. She had a really big list that just wasn't activated. And she literally had like a $2,000 day. She's like, she just started her business a couple months ago. Like that happened because she pivoted. And instead of saying, I'm stuck and things aren't working, I was like, let's create something that like gets you that momentum back and let's just put something in place. And I think the ability to pivot and not look at anything as you're stuck, but you're just headed in the wrong direction. We just got to make like a little bit of a change. That shift, as much as I love the strategy of business, that mindset shift has really allowed us to keep the momentum that we've had and take it through 2024. And I hope that if that's helpful to anyone, that that's something you guys can remember.
Incredible.
But, I always
Yeah.
remember that like you can create the hard, and if you created it and you don't like it, get rid of it. And you can also create the easy. It doesn't have to be hard to scale the business. You're just putting the things in place to make it hard. So get rid of any of the things that don't serve you and just focus on the things that do.
Yeah, I love this.
Always perspective from Ashley for the morning.
100%. And build a business that you love as well. It's going to be a lot easier for you to show up in your best energy and create the content that you really like.
Mhm.
And scale a business to 7 figures and you be the one that's turning all of the wheels and
Yeah,
still have the energy to do that and energy for your clients because you're working in alignment with what is important to you. So I think that's really, really
absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. It's a lot harder to scale a business that good. I'm so glad that resonated with you. It's so much harder to build a business that someone else created because isn't that the why that you fucking left corporate in the first place? Because you were building someone else's business. So like don't go back to that by saying blah blah blah's product suite is this and she charges this and like I have clients who are all low ticket and who make 50K a month. I have clients who are high ticket and make like, there is no perfect way to scale a business. The foundations and the principles of business, that's what you need. But you don't need the specific offer. You don't need the specific pricing. You don't need the specific, marketing thing. Like none of that actually matters. But the principles, if you can master those and you can create that strong foundation, that's what's going to build a sustainable and scalable business for you. So always lean into that. Strategies and stuff are great, but if they don't resonate with you, like just pick and choose the ones that do and lean into those and lean into them as hard as possible. So that's what I always say to every client. That's what I would say to you guys. A lot of you guys probably know that in some way, shape, or form, but maybe just hearing it from a different lens today is helpful. But that has carried me through the good and the bad.
100%. And I think like seeing you come after Rachel as well, like it's just so incredible because you'll both
Yeah.
talk about similar things, about like marketing, sales and whatnot, but the way that you both do it so differently, it's like it's chalk and cheese in the best way. And like this is incredible to be able to see because it's
Yeah.
those core business foundations, but done
Yeah.
so differently.
Yeah. But that's why, again, like I think, I love her business. She's incredible at what she does, but you would never hire typically one, like both of us, because we're so different. You probably would lean towards one or the other. But that's the amazing thing about business. This is the same reason that you choose to buy a certain brand. It's the same reason that you decided to have a iPhone or a Samsung. I don't know who has a Samsung, but if you have one, that's cool. Like, all these things, right? Like we choose because we feel really gravitated towards the way that someone solves a problem. That's what business is. And so Rachel is brilliant and beautiful and feminine, and she makes you feel like you are invincible. And she's good at launching. And that I've literally never launched anything in my fucking life. Like I don't do launches. I'm like, hey, we have this thing coming up. Buy it if you want. I'll see you in 2 days. Like I don't do launches. I don't have a strategy. I didn't do freebies. I didn't do funnels. We're so different, but we both love what we do. And I know that's going to be the same with every speaker is they love what they do. They built it based on like what made them the greatest of their own, kind. And I think that if anyone's sitting there saying like, I don't feel like I'm good enough or I have imposter syndrome, like lean in to the thing that made you want to start the business, the reason you wanted to solve the problems, the reason that you want to do this in the first place. Get rid of all the fluff, unfollow anyone on social media that doesn't make you feel activated and excited. If you have imposter syndrome, literally unfollow them. I almost unfollowed my own coach one time because I was like massively comparing myself to her. But lean into the thing that makes you unique, because the people that find you and resonate with that, they will be a client for forever. And that is so much more fun than constantly just trying to convince people that your pricing is better or the fact that you give more one-on-one calls than the other coach is better or whatever. So much more fun when people find you and they're like, I'm so fucking obsessed and I'm never leaving. That's like the business that I want you guys to have.
Yeah. And so what would be, other than obviously the understanding the core business foundations, but what are some things that people can, or that because I feel like your brand design, especially on Insta, is like very like chef's kiss.
I personally agree, but that's just me. I think like for me, it's I think it's like finding the fun in your business. I actually think Rachel talked about this. I know I'm referencing her a lot, so good free promo for her, but I do love her, so that's great. But like finding the thing that makes you feel really good. Marketing can be very simple. So really like if you get inspired by things, like I would totally like sit down and if you're a creative person and get into the creatives. When I came up with Buy the Blazer, obviously the name, the blazer part, like people really resonate with. So there's a lot of blazers in my marketing. But, I think like for me, it was like dark and edgy and it made me feel like, I had this like alter ego, Beyonce always talks about like being Sasha Fierce on stage. Like Buy the Blazer is my Sasha Fierce. And so whatever that is, if that's the way you want to look at it, or you want to, lean into something else, but your business doesn't have to be fully you. It can also be an extension of you. And my business is the like, I am so fucking good at what I do energy of me, the best of it. And that's what makes it fun, is because I don't feel like, if people don't like it, it's like they don't like me. It's like they just don't like this like percept or this like extension of me, but they like really like me as a person. So it allowed me to disconnect enough from my business where it wasn't just my name. And it also too, like, it got to be like the fun sex. It like got me excited when I post a piece of content. I'm like, this is so hot. Like, I love this part of me. Like it got to be like fun in that way. It was like, I almost aspired to be a better version of myself through my marketing and through my visuals. So, Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm so glad. Light bulb moments are the best, but that's how I look at it. So don't feel like your business has to be like exactly who you are. Sometimes it can be like that like next level self, and lean into that of like, and it also allows me to like push myself of like when I see someone see my marketing, I want them to be like, oh my God, this girl makes $10 million. Cause like that's I'm showing up as my $10 million self through my marketing. So I hope that that's like helpful. But I love our branding and I love our marketing, and it's red and it's sexy and it's fun, and I'm pulling out the Taylor Swift red lips sometimes, and I'm having a freaking blast with it. So have fun with your marketing. You have to do it. And it's the reason people are going to fall in love with you. So, make sure it's something that you also can fall in love with.
Yes. Loving this so, so much. Has anyone got any questions for Ashley? You can pop them in the chat box here. There's so many lessons that you can take forward to build your own main character energy, build your own brand, really fall in love with your marketing, fall in love with content,
Yep.
regardless of what platform you're on. Like, have fun. Yes,
Yeah.
understand the core principles, but then apply it in your own way.
Yeah.
Loving this.
The core principles are a lot more fun when you actually enjoy what you're doing. Like it becomes a lot less of a strenuous task and more of like something that you enjoy. So
Yeah, no, I can relate so much when you said Buy the Blazer is like my alter ego. I was like, oh my God, that's my villain era. Because
yeah.
like I was two main character energy, and then there was a level of just like when you said it's like the best, most unapologetic version of me, I was like, yes, that was
Yeah.
what villain era is. And it could be something I can step into. But
Mhm.
my God, I almost like envy and love the
Yeah.
confidence that she has. I'm just like, woo!
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
totally down there.
A lot of sass, a lot of F-bombs. Sorry if you were by your children today. I apologize. But yeah, it's my Sasha Fierce. I was talking to someone that the other day, and I was like, that's such a great way to describe it. Like I in my own little mini St. Louis way, I'm Beyonce with my own little Sasha Fierce. So
Yeah,
create
yeah.
your brand to be your own Sasha Fierce, and it like yeah, it's the most fun thing. So make sure if you guys resonate with anything, if you want to send me a message on Instagram and just say like, hey, I really resonate with this. Or I can't believe your parents don't know that you have a business. You can send me either one.
Oh my God.
But yeah, any questions or something, I'm more than happy to follow up with anyone after as well. So I appreciate everyone's time today.
Thank you so much, Ashley. What can we expect for you going forwards for this year? What might we be seeing other than the book and the telling the parents? What else?
I think a lot of like vulnerability and refinement and just sharing like my vision a little bit more transparently than ever before. I'm really going to be in a place of, yes, we're fucking crushing it, but these are the changes I'm making and this is why. And these are the mistakes that I think I made. And I think just really giving you guys the behind the scenes, kind of the behind the blazer, if you would say, perspective
Book
of
title.
yeah, we'll see if I ever use that for anything. But kind of the perspective on that. So if you like Instagram stories, if you like TikTok, follow me there. I'll be sharing a lot of that. And yeah, I want business to feel authentic. I want to be aspirational, but also very authentic. And so blending the two is a really big priority for 2024. So I look forward to sharing that stuff with you guys.
Love this. I feel like you have got like just a lifetime of stories that people probably don't know yet, and so really excited to see you being like sharing more, even more transparently.
Yeah,
Transparency. There we go.
transparent. Yes, 100%.
Thank you so, so much for joining us today, Ashley.
Thank
People, so if you want to go follow Ashley on Insta and TikTok, it's by the Blazer, no underscores or anything, or one word. So yes, go follow to see the two very different content types. You're going to see Ashley in a hoodie at home, chatting like a friend, versus the very luxe consulting firm. And so you can be both. So have
you.
this as your inspiration.
Yeah, it's 100%. Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate you putting this on. It was so good connecting with you guys.
Thank you so much. So we'll wrap things up here. I'll be sending out the replay as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ashley. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. And I'll see you all guys soon. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.